Hello nerds, JJ Kymorist here. Welcome to my channel. I'm sorry I've been absent for a little while. I took a little social media break to, spend time with my family during the holidays. But I'm back and have some exciting news to share with you all. If you read the title of this video, then I'm sure you kind of already know what the news is. But I have some other news as well that I want to share. So make sure you hit subscribe if you haven't already, if you want to get notified when I put other content on my writing journey. And also feel free to join my reader community for monthly newsletters and bonus content. Link to that will be down in the description. First, before we get into the big headline for this video, I have another announcement. If you've been following along with my journey on writing and stuff, or if you've been a part of my reader community, then you may already know that I've been working closely with the progressive death metal band Illyria in turning their concept album into a book. And so I've come out with a couple sneak peeks of a couple of the chapters from the book. But next week, Friday the 13th, we are releasing the full album with the accompanying novella. So we'll be talking more about this project next week after release, but I'm just so excited and I just wanted you all to know so that you can be ready for the 13th. Anyway, on to the main topic here. So I wrote my dark fantasy novel, Trials for the Haunted, which I've kind of been talking about in my other vlog videos on my writing journey. I started writing it back in 2021. 10 drafts later, I finished the final draft in 2022. And then I began querying May of 2022. So I spent about 6 months querying. I sent out 3 small batches of query letters spaced out over those 6 months. In total, I think I sent out about 22 query letters. I thought it was more, but then I went back and counted. I was like, oh, I guess that's not that many. But it takes so long to send out a query letter because you have to customize it for each agent. And then you also have to research the agent and make sure that you think that they would be a good fit for you. And it's just a lot of work to send out query letters. So I didn't really end up sending out all that many, but I participated in 3 Twitter pitch contests, and I got interest from 6 different agents / publishers. In the Twitter pitch contests that I participated in were Pit Dark and Science Fiction Fantasy Pit. I'll throw up on the screen here a couple of my pitches that got likes from different agents and publishers, in case you're interested in reading those. But anyway, over those 6 months of querying, I received 3 full manuscript requests, all of which came from the Twitter pitch contests that I participated in. And at the end of 6 months of querying, I received 2 offers for publication from 2 different small presses. So, I'll go into detail, talking a little bit more about those offers that I got. It was November of 2022. I got the first offer for publication from a small press here in the US. They publish a lot of kids books and teen fiction. And when I got the full manuscript request from them, I looked up their publishing company and I perused their website and everything, and I started to get a little worried because their website looked like such a kid-friendly, wholesome business, and my book was definitely very dark, has a lot of curse words and stuff that definitely borders on more adult content than young adult content. So, some backstory on the whole, where does my book fall in the age category thing? I ended up querying my novel as both a young adult to some agents and adult to some other agents, which I know you're probably not supposed to do, but I was so torn as to which age category to put it into because I had written the book with the full intention that it would be a young adult novel. I still believe that it should be an upper young adult novel. But after completing it and after doing a lot of research on the market, and, I started to question whether or not that was the right category for it because a lot of things that I was reading online and research that I'd done was saying that, you shouldn't have this, you shouldn't have curse words, you shouldn't have sex, you shouldn't have this, you shouldn't have that. I'm like, well, my book has all of those things. So I was, starting to get afraid that I had kind of fallen outside the generally accepted conventions for that age category. So anyway, going back to when I was first reading the website for the full manuscript I got from this small press publisher, they looked very wholesome, very kid-friendly and family-friendly, and so in a panic right before I sent the full manuscript, I went back and I took out a few of the F-bombs. Not all of them, just a few of them. There weren't a ton in there, but I got scared, okay? So I was like, just please like it. I'll take out all the things if you just like it. But anyway, I really thought seriously about taking out the non-graphic sex scene that I have. It's very non-graphic, but it is very present in the manuscript. And I really thought about taking it out before sending it to that publisher. But thankfully I didn't, because it turns out once that publisher got back to me, she loved it and she did not want me to change any of the edgy, gritty bits. She even liked the fact that there was sex in it because it's a much more honest look at the way teenagers actually act and the decisions teenagers make in reality. And like, side note here, my protagonist is 19, so it's not like I'm having an underage kid having sex. But she was like, this is just honest. Like, this is what kids that age, or, you know, this is what teens that age are really doing and the decisions they're actually making and the mistakes that they're actually making. So I was like, oh, thank you. You understand. You get it. You get what I'm trying to do here. Like, I'm so tired of all these young adult novels dodging the fact that teenagers have sex, or just, you know, trying to put like a PG rating over everything. When in reality, these teenagers, you know, they're doing things that, you know, a lot of adults don't want to admit that they're doing, but it's happening. So I was really happy that she really understood that, and she didn't want me to change any of the things that I felt, you know, belonged in the book. But anyway, so because that they're a small press and not a big five publishing house, they're allowed to bring in, you know, whatever content that they want. Like, they're not held back by any red tape that, you know, like the bigger publishing houses might have to deal with. And, you know, if I had ended up getting any interest from a big five publishing house, there is a chance that they may have made me take out some of the parts of my book that I really liked. But the moral of the story is, like, trust in yourself, in your story. If you wrote it the way you did for a reason, and you really believe strongly in it, and you think it deserves to be that way in the book, then I think that you can find a publisher that also sees your vision and understands the why of it. And yeah, small presses, I think, are the place where that is more likely to happen versus the, you know, like big five publishing houses who, might not be as open to something different or something edgy like that. So anyway, I got this offer for publication in November of 2022, and I was honestly just shocked and surprised and, you know, excited, of course. So I had a Zoom meeting with the publisher, and she, like I said, just really understood my vision for the book. And you know, she didn't really have any edits for me as far as like content goes. She said she didn't really have anything for me to change, that she doesn't take on projects where she thinks there's a lot of editing that needs to take place. And she said the only thing that she might want is for me to expand a little bit on this one particular theme that I had. And I'm like all too happy to do that. I'm like, hell yeah, I can expand, because you have no idea how much I labored over just trying to take words out, take scenes out so that it could fit the like standard word count for the genre and age group. Yeah, just trying to fit within the box of like, you can't fall outside this or you'll never get published was so difficult for me. So I did cut certain things that I'm happy that I might get to put back in there. Anyway, the meeting just went really well. I had 1,000,001 questions, and I got to learn a lot about the company and what direction they're headed with the projects that they're taking on. And I just felt like me and the publisher just really clicked. And yeah, it was nerve-wracking, of course, because my first meeting with the publisher. But yeah, the meeting went extremely well, and I was really sweaty by the end, of course. But I did not, however, accept the offer right away. I still had a few outstanding queries that I need to follow up on before accepting the offer. So, you know, I asked her for a couple weeks, and then I'd get back to her with an answer after that. So I did that. I had one full manuscript out in an agent's hands. When I told her that I had an offer, she kindly said that she would step aside. And then I had a handful of queries out there in other people's hands. I pretty much got a no response from all of them except for one. So this one small press publisher out of the UK asked for the full manuscript after I told them that I had an offer on the table. And I was like, okay, this is great, but like I kind of told my other publisher that I would get back to her in like 2 weeks. So, you know, I asked them kindly if they could, you know, expedite the reading process, which they did. I was surprised they finished reading it in like 3 days, which was crazy. And so they finished it, then they gave me an offer to publish it. So I was like, okay, well, now I have 2 presses that want to publish my book and no agent for advice on this. And so I was like, what the hell do I do? So I thought to myself, I was like, okay, well, maybe I can do both. If I go with the first US publisher and I ask if I can retain my foreign rights, then I can also publish with the UK publisher over there. So I was like, all right, well, maybe this could work. I don't know. So I told the UK publisher, I was like, all right, thank you for the offer, but, hold on a sec. I need to see if I can negotiate to retain my foreign rights. So I went back to the first publisher, the publisher here in the US, and we had another Zoom meeting to negotiate the contract. And here is where it would have been really nice to have an agent, because I feel like I'm fairly decent at the whole book writing thing, I'm still have a lot to learn, but I feel like I'm, getting there. I'm well on my way. And feel like I'm also fairly decent at running my own business and growing my platform and maintaining my website and my newsletter and my social media presence and all that junk. But what I am not good at is contract negotiations. I'm a people pleaser, and I fold under pressure really easily. So, yeah. The meeting went well, but the U.S. publisher was really hesitant to want to relinquish the foreign rights. I think she would have been absolutely okay with giving me foreign rights to publish in another language. But she definitely wanted to keep all the rights to the English language, which of course includes the UK. So, if I had decided to fight for it, I probably could have got it, but I think it really would have slowed down the process and really complicated things. And, of course, I'm impatient. I want my book out there ASAP. And I'm also, I don't have any experience in this realm. I don't want to get myself into something that I don't know how to do, or I just, do it wrong or something. I didn't want to create a lot of extra work for myself in waters that I really don't know how to navigate. And, yeah, I was like, this is my first book. Let's just keep it simple. I don't have the experience to handle extra things. And so I was like, okay, I'm just going to stick with one publisher, and, I'm going to keep things simple and, not create more work for myself. So I decided to stick with the US publisher, and I told the UK publisher, I'm sorry, but, I wasn't able to keep my foreign rights. I'm sorry if I'm talking too fast. That's just how I talk. So again, if I had an agent, she probably could have done all of this for me, and I probably could have had both publishers. And in all reality, I probably could have put a call out there saying, hey, I have offers from two different publishers. Could an agent please help me negotiate these contracts? And I probably could have procured an agent that way. But of course, the agent takes a certain percentage of your profits and everything to pay for their services. And, neither of these publishers was offering me an advance or anything like that because they were very small, which I was okay with not getting an advance, because getting an advance means there's that pressure to sell through the advance to make sure that you are successful in the publisher's eyes, and I didn't really want that kind of pressure because it's my first book and I have no idea how well it's going to sell. But yeah, I didn't really want to put out call out to an agent because that's not really how I want to meet my ideal agent. I want an agent that's going to be with me my whole writing career, and I want that agent to obviously really believe in me and my work. And I don't think putting a call out there like that just to negotiate a set of contracts is the way that I'm going to meet my perfect agent. And I don't really want a temporary agent. I want one that's going to be there for me my whole career. I was able to negotiate a couple of other things in the contract, which were really easy and agreeable for the publisher. She was a very nice person. And then, I officially signed the contract in December. And so hopefully, if everything goes as hoped, Trials for the Haunted will be published at the end of this year. And I cannot be more excited. I know it's not going to be for a little while, but I'm really excited about it. Before I accepted the offer for this small press, I did talk with a lot of my other writing friends, and I got a lot of different advice. A lot of people were really supportive and were like, oh yeah, go for it. Or, it's your decision, or it's a great offer, but here's some things to think about, which I didn't immediately just think that I was going to go with this publisher. I really did consider not going with them just because they are a small press, which means, their reach is going to be smaller. They're not going to get me into Barnes & Noble nationwide. They'll probably be able to get me into a couple of local bookstores in my area, which is fine with me. But yeah, and I have a lot of writer friends that are also very pro self-publishing, which is great, and I'm very happy for them. I do want to self-publish at some point too, and I'm self-publishing this novella next week, which I guess counts too. But I always wanted to be a hybrid author. I always wanted to have some books that I published traditionally, and I also always wanted to have some books that I published myself. So yeah, I was like, okay, I weighed my options. A lot of one of my friends was telling me, like, hey, if this publisher can't offer you all the things that a big 5 publishing house can offer you, then there's no point in going with them because you can just achieve all this by yourself if you do self-publishing. And I can see that argument. I get it. They do make a valid point. Like, if they're not going to get me into brick and mortar stores, then, what's the point of going with the publisher at all? And then when they take part of your sales from your book. But I think I really wanted someone to kind of hold my hand through this process. I know that sounds bad. And of course, they're offering me way more than just like hand holding through the process. But this is my first book, and I really am afraid that, if I were to do it myself the first go around, that I would do it wrong, or it would just go awry. I feel like having a publisher, or even if they're a small press, there's so much that I can learn from them and from the process that I'll just be better equipped, going forward in the future. Whatever route that might be, if I end up doing more traditionally published work, or if I end up doing, more self-published work. But yeah, I've always found that writing is so strange in that it's such a solitary thing. It's like, it's just you in a room writing your stuff, and there's no one else there to be like, hey, that's not that good, or I don't like this part. Of course, you can do that when you have critique partners and beta readers, and if you have editors and stuff like that, but there's really no one there to like lead you in the right direction. You're on your own when it comes to creating your work and stuff like that, which is great because you get full creative control, but at the same time, it's like, no one's going to tell you if what you're doing sucks unless you ask them, and put it in the hands of a bunch of other people for feedback. So, I wanted a way to quality check my work, I guess, and also just take a lot of the pressure off of me trying to do a lot of the work myself, because of course self-publishing is so much work, and it's also very expensive to publish something on your own if you're paying for your own cover art, your own editing, and your own ads and stuff like that. So having a publisher pay for all of that is definitely a plus in my book. So I'm very excited that I'm going to be working with a publisher, and I will definitely keep you guys posted on everything that goes on throughout this year leading up to publication of my first novel. And yeah, let me know down in the comments if you've ever had any similar experiences, or if you have any advice or anything like that. Make sure you guys stay tuned for next Friday, Friday the 13th, for the Ilaria release. It's a dark fantasy novella that I will be putting out through Amazon. So thank you guys so much for watching, and stay tuned for next week.